I traveled back to Polk County recently to attend the renaming of our high school football field in honor of longtime Bloodhound football coach Joe Parrish. Coach Parrish's long and storied career at Auburndale High School began in my junior year, 1973. He was an intense and focused coach. He knew that he had inherited a small team and we weren't in the best of shape. He intended to change that, and quickly. It was admittedly a bit strange to hear all the accolades about a man that every player thought was Satan with a bloodhound ball cap when he was pushing us through two-a-day practices in August. He ran us ragged and put us through pure misery out on the practice field. And if you messed up, you could rest assured that his face and your face would soon be just inches apart. I didn't realize it at the time, but I really did learn a lot from Coach Parrish. I learned a lot about football, a lot about discipline, and a lot of new curse words and how to use them appropriately. I guess that's why we can now celebrate all these years later and express our love and appreciation to him. Thank you, Coach Parrish. I just wish more folks from our era would have shown up for the celebration. But I did get to spend some quality time with two of my dearest friends, David Sassnet and Pete Bird. Between the two of them, they've been picking on me for over 50 years. They either can't find anyone else to pick on, or maybe they like me. They keep letting me hang around with them, so I guess they do. I know this. If any of us ever needed help, it's just a phone call away, even though we're separated by over 100 miles. These are the kinds of friendships that you cherish, from childhood until you draw your last breath. As I was starting back toward Gainesville, I couldn't help but go by a few places from my childhood just to see how things had changed. You know, I tend to wax a bit nostalgic now and then. My old house had been gone for years. It was particularly sad to see that a septic tank now resides where the old house used to sit. If I didn't know where I was, I wouldn't even recognize it. But then again, I didn't recognize many of the streets around my neighborhood as I drove up and down. So much has changed in Winter Haven, Auburndale, and our little community of Inwood. How did the streets shrink so much? They used to be so wide. Auburndale hasn't fared much better, I fear. I drove by my wife's childhood home, and although it hadn't changed as much as my old neighborhood, it was still pretty shocking. Cypress Gardens is gone. Legoland? Really? And while it certainly isn't unique to Polk County, it's also sad to see our elementary, junior, and high schools all surrounded by tall chain-link fences and gates. Our area was once home to thousands of acres of beautiful orange groves. Citrus was definitely the heartbeat of our county. Now, instead of planting oranges, it looks like it's more profitable to plant houses for more and more people. Thankfully, there is still some citrus processing going on in our area. It's no longer called Minute Maid, but by the evidence of acres of semi-trucks full of oranges, I would say that there's still some juice processing taking place. But just a short distance away, another once thriving packing house appears to now need its roof mowed. I got to thinking about so many places that no longer exist. Gone are the five and dime stores like TG&Y and J.M. Peel's. Grocery stores like Quick Check and IGA are now history. There's no S&H Green Stamps Redemption store. My neighborhood had great little stores like Butcher Boy, Marquis Market, and the 36th Street Market. Restaurants like Lum's, Jack and Betty's, Biff Burger, Burger Barn, and Burger Queen, they're all gone. Fun places like the pool at 100 Lakes Motel, the miniature golf at the Ranch Motel, roller skating rinks in Inwood and Auburndale, bowling alleys, the Dale and the Hagandale drive-in theaters. A lot of changes for sure. My last stop was a cemetery in Auburndale where most of my family members have been laid to rest. I spent some time talking to my mom, dad, my brother, sister, and brother-in-law. As I was leaving each gravesite, I kissed my fingertips and touched the top of each of their headstones. Not for them, of course, but for me. It just made me feel better. I could have spent another hour walking around the cemetery paying respects to my grandparents, many aunts, uncles, cousins, and friends who were scattered throughout the cemetery. I remember coming here as a young child to visit my grandfather's grave with Ma Fuller. He died before I was born. The cemetery was considerably smaller back then. In fact, I think my grandfather was my only family member buried there at the time. Now there are 20 to 25. Every time I visit any of the 4 cemeteries in the area with some of my family members, I'm always reminded of a sobering truth. Don't wait until after someone dies to tell them how much they mean to you. Seek forgiveness and be forgiving. Now, don't think that I left feeling depressed as I headed north. Not a chance. Sure, I missed the Auburndale and Winter Haven of my youth, and I certainly missed the many family members to whom I've had to say goodbye, but God has continued to bless me beyond measure. He's invited me to have a relationship with Him, and I accept it. I'm relatively healthy for a 62-year-old guy. I love my job. My needs are met and then some. And I have some great friends and family that have either forgiven me or forgotten my past words and actions that were less than honorable. I have been blessed with my beautiful wife and our 2 daughters, and now we have the added blessings of a fine son-in-law and 2 of the cutest grandchildren alive. The road upon which I've traveled hasn't been without obstacles, of course. There has been pain and suffering. There has been illnesses and injuries. There's been death. But I tell you, sometimes I have to pinch myself just to make sure it isn't all a dream. How in the world could I possibly be depressed? That, my friends, is the picture of grace. Having something given to you for which you do not deserve. In my case, that is a blessed life. I may have only photographs and a few memories of the past, but I guess that's why I'm so determined to write them all down while I can. I would encourage you to do likewise.